Hello and welcome. Today is the third day of July 2017. My name is Derek. It is a Monday. Let's take a look at precious metals for today, as a lot of them are in declining facet. Gold down almost 16 or 1.27%. Currently down to about 12.25 as at 14.25 UTC or 10:25 a.m. New York time. And it's in a situation in which it is within this first leg lower in here, found its support area, lifted down. That was the day I talked about where everything crashed in a minute. Another second chance, and with the second chance that really develops support big at 1240. It breaches it, it falls down fast, so it looks maybe we're looking towards these next few levels, really the 1200 to 1220 range, looking at this time frame. Within its shorter term 4-hour time frame, we can see more on this support at 1240-ish or so. That gave in as it was leaving its 18 average band. Boom. There is the down move. That's, well, before we move on to silver, very quickly, when I see this, generally speaking, these line area where I drew in here is where you would expect any short-term rallies to move to, because I'm always looking for it to go back to previous support resistance or where it came from. And this baby came from the 1240 handle. So if there's any little rallies, I wouldn't be surprised if you get any type of pop in here. And then, of course, you're in a resistance area stage where you're probably going to get further decline or maybe consolidation within that level. But if you have a fast move, go like this and then like that, and then you talk about, hey, wait a second, that's that failed breakdown. But remember, that is more improbable, and there probably is going to be a little bit of more short-term decline. At some point, this thing has to get going, because you only can go down so much before you have a decent bull market. But within this, you never know. I mean, you could have this thing go down 100 points before it does it, and it could bottom any time. I can't state. But since this top, what type of correctionary phases has there been? Slight in here, a little bit here. This was a decent one of trying to move it over. No. Another decent one in here. This is less of an attempt. So the first one had a decent rise, but it sold off really quickly. This one was able to ride a higher 18 average band for a dozen or so periods, but then it ultimately had the move in here. This one pretty much went sideways for close to the same amount. Then it hung on by a thread in here, and down it goes. So therefore, how many more moves? Don't know. Obviously, again, it's down a bit. So if it bottoms, wouldn't be too surprised either. But I would fully expect there to be good resistance in this area. And it's not a good setup on silver within its daily time frame. When you consider, well, let's list all first few things. Obviously, the straight down and up moves pretty much since the start of the year, but really for a long, long time. So you have this spot where once it falls below, it has a decent size push, leaving the band at about 18, falling about $2. This is now leaving the band at about 16.5, and it's fallen about 30 cents so far. It's also fallen very close to this point. So when I see this, maybe it's going to congest in this area for a little bit. Also, I don't know how strong this support's going to be. Maybe it's going to head to some of these lower levels in here. But you definitely got to give there to be consideration of maybe anything of this type of nature that we've had before, where you could have continuous days down as maybe you head into like the 14th or so of July. We haven't had too many extreme single day declines, sort of like, say, in early or mid-December in here, we have a situation where it fell from 17 to 16, or about a full dollar. You got about another 60 cents to go on that, but a full dollar in here would be a move to about here. I mean, that's possible, but I got to say that's improbable as well. but it's also improbable that this thing is going to be so bullish over this next week that you're going to be pretty happy that it's a good buying spot at this point. Although short term, I don't even think it really is. It might work out to be where, oh, it's down so much and you can happen to sell it up here, but I would definitely never, ever go long anything on this nature. Looking at this for the short-term trade, as far as buying real physical silver, it's cheap, or cheaper anyway. And that makes it, of course, more affordable. It also makes it so you can get more. And if you're buying within Bitcoin, the ratio goes higher, and the higher it goes, well, the more easier it is to turn Bitcoins into that of physical silver. Let's move on to the ratio. And it really has an interesting pattern to talk about. Obviously, if it's going to be precious metals going up, expect red candles. Going down like we see in today, green candle. And from this move higher, price correction through time. And to me, it doesn't matter that it broke through this 18 average band, because as long as it's a significantly higher low from either of these breakout points, and it was, then that's a bullish setup. You have your correctionary phase, and a beautiful setup when you look at it, because you have a double hit top here at this number, and then you have this consolidation point in here. It's also worth noting that this sell-off was much shorter than the original one, which is normal in market psychology, because everyone just wants to profit take so well that there's really not as much profit taking in at this level, at least with normal charts, because you have some that profit take in here, which is why you oftentimes get the higher highs. The short-term traders who bought on this way up are now selling on the way down. Okay, you let them do such, and then you get the further momentum, and more times the key levels are tested out, the more likely it is you take it out, and this brings to that situation of, maybe it's ready to do such. Let's move on to the less precious, but still precious metals, first with palladium. And it's got a nice little pattern too, as far as its situation's concerned. After having this rally from this failed breakdown, it established the support and is starting to wean its way a little bit lower. 800 is a psychological number, even hair a bit below this resistance point, this area which it traded. Markets oftentimes come back to where it comes from. It sure looks as if it's setting up that move, but I do talk about this failed breakdown in here, because if this does rally back quickly and it re-enters the band and then quickly thereafter leaves it thus coming close to like 890, then that would set up the failed breakdown, and that's if and would in that situation, and that's a bullish spot. But for now, I wouldn't be surprised if there was short-term further decline down into the high 700s, closer to 8, and move on to palladium, or platinum rather, on the next one. And platinum has a downtrend again, where it comes up to this 18 average band. A little bit of support in here established, obviously taken out. And it sure looks to me as if it's going to be having a test down towards the 890 to about 894 level as its possible next support mark, and where I've drawn the upper lines in around the 918, or this point in here, is an area I'd be looking for resistance. We'll say 920 if there's any short-term moves. And let's finish it off within the US dollar index, the DXY. And you would think that if we have this downtrend for the year, we see at the start of 2017, the DXY is around 103, 103 and a half, has since fallen now to 95, and a green candle today, meanwhile still below this 18 average. And as I've been saying with these precious metal charts, when they have this move, if it's going to have a rally, usually you would expect it to resist the areas like in here where it came from. But again, you would think if this has been consistently making a pattern of lower highs and lower lows, that gold and silver would be making higher highs and higher lows, which has not been the case. But I think interestingly noted for this video. And thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day as well as a great week. Bye-bye.